Hello everyone, welcome to Cribwolf Talks. My name is Lino, Fera, host of Cribwolf Talks. For those tuning in for the first time, the Intentional Community Consortium, the ICC, held a housing conference with various members of our federal government in our nation's capital, Ottawa, Canada, in March 2024. The Cribwolf Talks production team captured the entire two-day ICC housing conference on video for our viewing audience. The ICC housing conference was initiated with the purpose of collaboration with members of Parliament, senators, and ICC members to discuss the housing shortage with reference to the National Housing Strategy. On today's episode, we will showcase two members of the ICC who presented at the ICC Housing Conference. Our first presenter is Bilodeau, the Executive Director of KW Habilitation, a significant service provider for individuals with developmental disabilities throughout the Kitchener-Waterloo district. The next to speak will be Brad Saunders, Chief Executive Officer for Community Living Toronto and Chair of OASIS.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to ask a question. How many of the organizations here, how many of you have ever done construction and built? Hands up. All right. Inclusive living is what we use in Kitchener for the word group home. How many of you, it's group homes only? How many have actually done affordable housing in apartments in your community and built one? See how the hands are going a little bit slower, a little bit, not as much? One of the reasons why ICC got together, there was a purpose. And the purpose was, going back many years ago, and I was one of the first, thanks to Brian Keshen over there, and it was, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing construction. We're doing it on our own, and I have no idea what to do. How many of you here are fearful of the whole process of construction? Look at the hands that go up. When we first started, it was a knowledge exchange. It was to say, okay, who did Enviro? Anyone here had to go through the Enviro? Anybody here had to go through Enviro stuff? Phase 1, Phase 2, supplementary to Phase 2, quadruple, lots of stuff around Enviro. How many are afraid of environment that you got to do, right? I remember I had someone from the region of Waterloo say to me, hell will freeze over before you're going to be putting a residential site on this property. Let me introduce you to the property that they said would not happen. And is it a bit of tenacity and being bold? I think so, and with kindness though. And I believe in that. And I think one of the things that I would like to do, as our Prime Minister came a few weeks ago, I think it was about 7 or 8 weeks ago to Waterloo Region and said, we need to get more charities and nonprofit, right, involved. Well, for gosh sakes, you better make it easier for us to do it. And we also, and the whole intent of the ICC was to encourage and inspire charities, not-for-profit, to get into building too. There's a bunch of other models, and I'll tell you about the models that we've gotten into at KW Hab. But you know what? There's a business case here that we all can follow. And I admire my mentors, as in Brad and Brian, which are larger cities, larger, huge projects. I get nervous, but you don't always have to do that. I call KW Hab Seabiscuit. Anybody here know the movie Seabiscuit? Okay, we be Seabiscuit. And that means we're small, but we're mighty. And we can do it, but through our knowledge exchange. Let me tell you a little bit about KW Hab. Yep, we've been around for over 50 years. I've been there for 46. Yeah, it's my first and only job. But one of the reasons why I continue is because I get inspired. I get inspired by the people we work for. I get inspired by our staff. I get inspired by our community. And one of the reasons why we got into all of this, and I'm going to just to give you a little prelude, like why would you ever get into affordable housing? Let me tell you the story. I don't know if you can see. All right, so that's our 22 unit that you see there, but on the other half of that property, and you can't see it. We have a main building that we built, and it's 10 years old already. It looks mighty fine after 10 years. And so what we did was the old sheltered workshop, right? There, we had an old shelter workshop. People that we worked for would come around the back to get into the building. Staff came in the front, admin. That does not exist today at KW Hab. We built the new building and I still have the stick-em notes with the people we work for. And they told us what they wanted. And yes, we have a cafe because socialization was extremely important. So we had about I think there's about 1.4 acres that we owned. The front half was a factory. The back half is where they turned drug tricks because it wasn't at that time the greatest neighborhood. We revitalized that neighborhood. And here's how we did it. In 2007, we had an assessment, and it said that the property was worth approximately $670,000. Today, with the two sites that we have on it, it's worth probably closer to $18 million. And we have two small mortgages that combine not even $3 million. Did I have board members that were a little bit nervous? Sure. But were we willing to be bold and take a risk? Sure. So when we built the other half, so we were in the sheltered workshop and the admin, we built the back half, and the Ion just happens to go right by our new 99 Ottawa. We had a parking lot scheduled for the back half, but in 2012, there was an incentive through the provincial and the federal government that said, if you build affordable housing, you'll get $150,000 per unit if it's accessible. So at that time, the builder came to us that built our main building and said, why don't we do this? And why don't we do it together? So we started that path, and then we realized, and I realized afterwards, we are really good landlords, and we've built a lot of homes. We've got 30 of them. I don't need a partner. And so we said, great idea, but we're doing it on our own. So we went for the money, and we did get $150,000 per unit, and we did get CMHC, and we had Trillium. Oh yeah, don't forget you need an elevator, and you might want to go a little bit bigger on the elevator, because if you need to bring in paramedics, they got to get the elevator in the. You got to get the stretcher into the elevator. But anyway, all these things you learn when you're going through this. And so we did it on our own. We had a business case. We put it together. The incentives are very different. Move forward now with the housing strategy. The game, of course, is a little different. But did we have enviro stuff? Absolutely. I'm laughing because they swear there was a oil tank buried. They swore there was. There's no oil tank buried. Yeah, and you'll find that out. And you shrug and you go, okay, where can I get the money for this? And you can get funding for phase 1, phase 2, and if you got to do the dig and all those kinds of wonderful things. But it was little steps all along the way. So when we came to build this project, we then realized that what we were going to do was look at a home that we had where 5 people lived, and those 5, we were going to empty the home and we were going to sell the home. So there's many different ways that you can go about doing this. Our model today might be a little bit different, but if you look at your operating dollars, I call it a cluster in a new building. You can actually, the business case is there that you can actually support more people with the same operating. So if you have, for example, I'll just give that as an example. So we had 5 people living in a home. They move into the 22 unit. It is mixed. So we at KW Hab, philosophically, we support mixed affordable housing, meaning that we'll use some of the units and then we'll have others that qualify for affordable housing to come in. And it's a whole other game around deeply affordable versus affordable. All of that can be worked through. But if I have, 2 bedrooms and a 1 bedroom, right, and the same operating dollars, we actually were able to extend that to 3 2 bedrooms. and 3 single units with the same operating dollars. One night staff doesn't have problems going to each one of those units. And so was there some angst in all of this? Of course there was. So in the 22 unit, as an example, we had a night staff, and if something happened in 102 and it wasn't one of the apartments that we supported, were we getting not my job? Of course we were. But that doesn't happen today. We have a neighbor helping neighbor model. So in order to live in our 22 unit, you do have to go through a matrix. You do have to agree to just say hello to a neighbor. That's it. So here we are. I think we started that project probably, I think it was 2014, but we had people were moved in by 2019 because it was just before COVID. And it took till now for that home that we call Home for Many to actually cajole, and they are truly neighbor helping neighbor. COVID did it too, of course. People now look to see, Frida hasn't been down here for a while. And then they go looking for Frida. Took a while. You'll notice there's no balconies, and someone was mentioning it last night. There's a strategy behind no balconies, but there is a community space. Another analogy is that if you build with balconies, where do people hang out? On their balconies. But if you don't have a balcony, where might they hang out? In that community room. And can that happen? Sure. And so one of the things that we were hoping to do is go, okay, what do we do next? And so having a good architect is extremely important. You have to have an architect that believes in your organization, that believes in social responsibility, and not always the bottom dollar. Not that they do. I've seen more. I've met some great architects in the last few years, and just more recently at the National Housing Conference. But that's extremely important. And so when we built this unit, our 2 projects, we had the same architect who then went to every one of our sites and did an analysis on all 30 sites and said, okay, that one's zoned okay, that one we can do a variance on, that one we can't do anything with. And the reason why he did that, to say, is there any properties that we have that we can tear down a home in favor of affordable housing? And that brings us to our project that's in the works. It's called Shovel Ready. And here's the diagram of it. Has it been a while? Sure. Would have been about $1.5 million cheaper if they would have listened to us before COVID. However, since then we have moved the needle. And this is something that you as nonprofit and charities need to realize. You have to put skin in the game if you ever expect to get money from either CMHC, the province, or even the municipality. You can't go in saying, here's what we want to do, but I got no money. So skin in the game is important. But the other piece to this is you have to do some work ahead of time so that when and if that call ever happens, you're ready to roll. It's extremely important. So with this project here, it's going to be what's called mass timber. And it's prefab, which is net zero. On the enviro climate level, it's really high. Okay, and so it's 18 units. We're tearing down a home in support of this. So we've done all the drawings. We've done everything to get to permit ready, and there was an investment in that. I'll tell you, off the top, it wasn't $100,000. I would say under, but you're in around there where you're having to do that to get your drawings and to also go to, if you need any variance changes, those kinds of things. And the usual is always there, parking, so our 22 unit, we have 3 parking spots that are used and 5 probably for staff more than anything in and out, but that's a whole other story. So what we're doing now is, again, we did Rapid Housing 1, we did Rapid Housing 2, we did Rapid Housing 3. So I call us, I've been a bridesmaid 3 times. My closet is full of dresses because we got to the very last and then we weren't successful. What was successful, though, it was highlighted at the conference, the YWCA in Kitchener did a really cool project, and they got 2 years of rapid housing for women. And guess what? Same architect and prefab mass timber. So us going, that one that you guys really liked? Well, we've been ready to do that for a while now. So how about us? And you know what, again, that positive, hopefully kind tenacity. And as Mike was saying, you go everywhere you possibly can to have a voice to make sure that your project moves forward. I don't know what that means, and I'm hoping that something is going to happen in the next few weeks, and encouraging, of course, our federal government to look at more for us in April 16th. That's something we plan on doing. Last but not least, just to tie off, and just so you know, KWHAB has the whole gambit, complex care. We deal with ALCs. We've got all that. You want to not lose social isolation, but you want to encourage people to do different things. Farming is a great way. We have over almost 2 acres now and a beekeeper, but just $25,000 worth of veg that goes out into all of our homes, of course, and of course our 22 unit. It brings people together. And so these are just different strategies. If anyone wants any more information on some of the work that we've done in our region with our other sister organizations, please just come along and say hello, and let's have a cup of coffee. Thanks, everybody.
Just want to do a bit of an update on some of the work that Community Living Toronto has been doing. Our supported living goals, we support about 600 people where they live, and our supported living goals are to make places nicer for people to live. We want to grow the supports that we're able to provide, and we want to connect people, connect them with each other, connect them with community, and connect them with great caregivers. The next slide, please. We've got a cycle that we've started as we've expanded into what we call inclusive vertical communities, where new affordable housing, new options that we plan for people to move into, which creates vacancies in our existing homes. We have exactly 45 homes that we own across the city of Toronto. We started the year with 48, but we had to sell 3 to meet some budget deficits, which was rather unfortunate. And we're involved in head leases for about 301 rental apartments. So as people are able to move from homes into vertical communities, we create vacancies that can then be repurposed for people coming into the system. These opportunities for renewal and revival have been really successful for us over the last 10 years. The next slide, please. Our inclusive vertical communities are a shift from traditional homes that we're all familiar with, where 2, 3, 4, 5 people live together, and move into an apartment building where we have a percentage of the units, and this is where the community inclusion piece comes in. We have in many of our buildings 5 to 10% of the units where with people of variety of needs would live. Somebody may be on ODSP, have a part-time job, and they need a few hours of support a week. Other people may need 24/7 support. So they may live in a 3 or 4 bedroom unit. Somebody else may live in a bachelor or 1 bedroom. And staff, we get some economies of scale of having staff in and throughout those buildings. So we're trying to find that community inclusion balance sweet spot. The other key that's been really great to see is that 4th bullet point around increasing independence that people have. People that had lived in and were expected to often continue in a group setting for most of their lives have been able to move into apartments on their own. The woman on the picture here, his name is Kelly. I'm friends with her on Facebook. And she lived in kind of not a great situation in Scarborough, just down the street from the apartment that she just moved into, that I'm going to talk about a bit in a couple of slides. Throughout the year, Kelly would go to the building and take pictures of it turning from a hole in the ground up to building up. And you could see with her excitement around watching her new home be created. When we dedicated the building, and we have a number of units in that building, the Mayor Chow came, cut the ribbon, the whole thing. Kelly was there and gave the land acknowledgement and talked about how important it was for her to have a nice place in a safe building with the supports that she needs in her community. Some of the numbers in our community, if we want to go to the next slide, please. We've, in the last 10 years, been involved in these housing projects, of which we have 109 units across those various projects, first one being in 2012. And we support 165 people. We've had some great partnerships. On the next slide, we're involved with all of these organizations. I think there's a bit of a myth out there around builders and their motivation. It's clear that people get into the development and housing business to make some money. We don't see that as a bad thing when you've got good partners. What has been great for us to see is that many of the partners, the development partners that we've got, are also interested in building communities. If they get a reputation as a good builder that builds safe, affordable places to live where people can have community and thrive, people want to buy their projects. Tridel, who we've done a lot of work with, takes pride in the fact that they have not had any complaints to Terrion, which is the sort of overseer of warranties in Ontario. So it's been nice to have this synergy with for-profit developers as they do their work. The next slide speaks to projects that we have coming up in the next number of years. So we're expecting about 61 new units coming, which really flags the need for us as a sector to advocate around new resources that are going to be coming. I talked a lot about our Lawson project last year. That continues to move along tediously through the City of Toronto approval processes, and we haven't hit any roadblocks, but it's just a very expensive and time-consuming process. The submissions that we made to the city were literally paper files this big. And our development partner, Tridel, has got, the better part of $10 million tied up in all of that work and studies and back and forth. So part of the cost of housing is the amount of time we have to tie up that amount of money for many years until you can start to see any return back. The next slide talks about Birchmont Green, and I've got a video that speaks to that, so I won't speak to too much of that.
Hi, I'm Michelle Nanton-White. I'm the program manager here at Birchmont Green. I have an amazing team over here. Birchmont Green is a brand new program that's going to be supporting 50 individuals in service here at CLTO. I'm really happy to talk to you about this project. Yeah, Birchmont Green is a building in the east end of Toronto. We're partnering with Mahogany Management and City of Toronto around rent subsidies. And the goal of this program, this building, this residence, is to provide support to 50 individuals in service at CL Toronto. We're providing affordable housing, opportunity for people to be part of a new thriving community, to be able to have autonomy, to own their own homes. Currently, there are a number of individuals who are on the DSO waiting list. They are literally couch surfing. And Birchmont Green is going to be providing a home in a modern environment, condo style living. So basically living more with less. We're really happy to be partnering with Tim, who is the owner of Mahogany Management.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm one of the program supervisors here at the new Birchmont Green location. One of the goals at Birchmont Green is for people to meet new people from other organizations, other walks of life, and to have them utilize the common spaces that are in the building and provide an opportunity for them to live larger than life.
The strategic goal that Birchmont Green is meeting is definitely putting people first and growing to meet increasing demand. So by putting people first, Community Living Toronto is very careful to partner with the right people who respect the work that we do and values the people that we support in high esteem. Increasing demand, this is, we're going to be supporting 50 individuals here, so that is definitely meeting increasing demand. And as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of young people on the DSO waiting list who are couch surfing. who are living with families, who are living in situations that are dangerous. So by Birchmont Green is definitely going to address the need for housing.
One of the major milestones that we have achieved over here at Birchmont Green is receiving occupancy on the 13th of October. We had a couple of individuals who were ready to move in right away, and they were able to move in shortly after 13th of October. And as of today, the 26th of October, we were able to support more than 20 other people moving into their apartments. Another milestone that we've achieved over at Birchmont Green is setting up tours for the persons who are moving into their apartments. We were able to allow the person supported and their families and some staff to view the apartments before they were able to move in, and building really good relationships with the building managers on site.
I like make my own sandwiches, my own breakfast, my own bed, looking after myself, that I would like to do. Said, no, I cannot live on my own. I said, I am, and I'm going to. And look at me here now.
I don't think I could end that any better than she did. We have developed, I can't say enough about the staff who work with people that are moving into these homes. If people are interested in learning more about that, we're happy to share. It's a work we're quite proud of, and again, happy to share with anybody. Thank you.
I trust you found the presentation of both Anne Bilodeau and Brad Saunders very informative. We've come to the end of the program, but please keep watching future episodes of Cribwolf Talks. I'm Lino Fera. Have a wonderful day.